Another video on the anarchists, and I've listened to a few of them. I went around Steph Bot, mainly a couple of his videos, and then Luke and some other guy. Liberty is not given. I guess sort of trying to make the point there that you got to take it. But anyway, it's all this. It's just verbiage. It's just these words. It's all about words. And I was thinking about that, and the fact that they offer no practical way that you could ever take a country of 300 million people and divvy up this property or enforce property rights in any constructive way, because there'd be no government. And once you start a government, once you have it for one purpose, it's inevitably going to be used for other purposes. It's just unstoppable. You can either have no government or you have all government, but you're never going to be able to create some little big government. That's not going to happen. Just impractical expectation, because people are going to, through their democratic process, demand a little bit more from the government. They're going to see problems in this social order and they're going to want them fixed. So if you don't have any way to practically catch criminals, any way to identify people, they're just going to, my neighbors can just disappear. That'll be like, oh yeah, they just disappeared. And who's going to pay for the law enforcement agency to investigate the murder or do anything else? And then who's going to prosecute them, and who's going to impose violence in terms of a punishment on people? And once you go down that road, if you have all private agencies doing that, then you're going to have people that are going to feel the systems did something wrong, and then you're going to have revenge, and then you're going to have war. And that's all you're going to have. We have plenty of criminals now. A lot of them are created by our laws, but there are people out there who will kill you for your car, and those people are going to be running loose in anarchy. The less conscience you have, the more successful you will be in anarchy, because there really won't be a lot of accountability. And everybody's going to have to be well armed, and well, anyway, like I said, just no practical way to get from where we are now to there. So you say, why would these people be promoting this? What's the agenda? What's the real agenda? None of them can believe this could ever happen. So why are they talking about it? Why? And you have to ask yourself. And so I can only go by the key phrases they use. Freedom of association, and then the Steph Bot is always ragging on the welfare state. He did a whole 30 minutes or whatever, 20 minutes on how the welfare state didn't solve the problem of poverty. Big surprise! It wasn't intended to solve the problem. It wasn't a cure for the disease. It was a treatment of the symptom, and the symptom was little beggar children. That's you can't just pretend that there's no extortion going on. Obviously, poor people can extort us by creating an innocent victim that we have to care about. And you can't just abolish safety nets and under the pretext that the benevolence will take over. I mean, we're heading towards the old Christmas season. Watch A Christmas Carol, okay? The real world, voluntarism wasn't taking care of the problem. That's why we created these social institutions. It's because the voluntarism wasn't doing the job. It wasn't even treating the symptom, let alone curing the disease. So, like I said, you have to draw some conclusions, and you say, who would contrive this philosophy? Sorry, phone interruption. So back to where I was. The psychology, I hope that's where I was, of these people, and what's their intent, what's their motivation. And so anyway, the idea of this voluntary association, and the whole concept of this voluntariness, and the contempt for the welfare state and the calling of taxation murder, is this is exactly the kind of philosophy. If I was a racist, if I was one of the the white nationalist types or whatever. This is exactly the kind of philosophy I'd want to promote. This is the perfect freedom of association. Can't beat it. Yeah, that gives me the license to exercise my bigotry, and it's what else can it be about? It's about bigotry and elitism, I guess. Elitism would be the other side of the coin. I mean, they don't talk about how, they talk about how anarchy is going to, get the poor out of our business, but they don't talk about how it's going to get the rich out of our business. There's no explanation of how that's going to take place. How the land baron isn't going to be a problem, or, the billionaire or anybody else, how they're all, we're not going to have to worry about Rupert Murdoch or any of those people. No, they don't talk about how that's going to get fixed. They just talk about how we're going to get the poor out of the way. Because we'll just voluntarily associate them right the hell out of society. And so that's, I'm going to make the charge, I'm going to make the accusation. That's what these people are really about. And we'll see if they can respond with anything rational. There's nothing to argue here. I mean, it's, they invalidate the idea of the, social contract that is necessary for there to be civilization. They are really anti-civilizationist. I'm going to call myself a civilizationist. I'm not a statist, I'm a civilizationist. And they assume because government did something in the past, it's always going to do that. They don't acknowledge any progress having taken place at all. A couple hundred years ago, most people couldn't read and write. World has radically changed. Governments have changed with it. There is more openness. There is more accountability. There needs to be a lot more. There needs to be some fixes to the system. But democracy isn't, in and of itself, a failed concept. We have failed to implement it perfectly. That's the failure. The failure is our failure. The failure isn't in the structure of democracy, or the structure of a constitutional government, or the structure of any of this. It's in our implementation. So to blow it all up is just silly talk. And I say, why would you engage in silly talk? It must have a purpose. And the purpose, like I said, this falls right into this is exactly what the right-wing Republicans, the Christians, the racists, this is exactly the agenda they would want. They would want a segregated country. They want to be able to buy people at the lowest price possible. They want to exploit openly and freely without any restrictions. I mean, that's what they're all about. Yes, who hates the EPA? Yes, the people who want to do some polluting hate the EPA. Because overall it hasn't been a crime, hasn't been a sin. Even the the health organizations and the rest of them, for all this ragging, our healthcare system it's bad in the way we're implementing the services, but you can't deny that the technology has been fairly advanced and is fairly functional. And but they would destroy all these systems, all this infrastructure, because they have some agenda, and the agenda's really got to be about is they want to be the nobles, they want to be the monarchs, they want to go back to monarchy. That's what they really desperately want. And I think they want to do some ethnic cleansing. I really do. I think that's part of the agenda, because you don't hear anything about how any of the real-world prejudices that exist in our society aren't going to be anything but made substantially worse by any kind of free concept of open and voluntary association. So anyway, it's a bunch of shit. It's a pile of shit. These people are up to something. They have some other agenda in their fucking mind. And all these baby talk, all these fluffy little friendly voluntary this and voluntary that, and calling taxation murder and it's all bullshit. So anyway, that's my theory.